Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to my channel, I Hate Rock Music. The guy who loves rock music, who called his channel I Hate Rock Music. Apparently the humor is lost on a few. But anyway, I'm back to my bread and butter doing early 70s bands. I love early 70s bands. I'm such a diehard fan of Led Zeppelin and Blue Oyster Cult and Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and all that kind of stuff. And I just couldn't get enough. I got a sweet tooth for that sound. That's the era I grew up in. And I love all the second tier bands and the obscure bands with that classic 70s sound. And granted, a lot of them don't have the stellar singers or the incredible songwriting of some of the greats, but they got their own thing. They got their own voice. And I really appreciate it. And I've come to have total respect for a lot of bands that were not quite great. Um, they were great in their own way, and there was a lot of quality musicians and bands around that time that did a lot of interesting stuff. In this case, it's the band NITZINGER, and I'm going to focus in on the two albums released in 72 and 73 because those are the ones that mean something to me. I know NITZINGER did an album in 1977, Live Better Electrically, and it's just not the same. Starting to absorb some of the other influences of a later era. So there are two albums in 1972 and 1973, NITZINGER, and then their second album, One Foot in History, are where it's at for me. And NITZINGER was a figure in the local Texas scene, had some solo material out and things like that. And then he kind of came to prominence because he co-wrote a whole bunch of the songs on the first four Blood Rock albums. And they had a huge hit with DOA, which he co-wrote. So Capitol decided, well, we got to have this guy. And so they signed NITZINGER to Capitol. And so John NITZINGER put together a band, John NITZINGER on lead guitar and lead vocals, Linda Waring on drums, and Curly Benton on bass. And a classic hard rock trio from Texas. On their second album, they added another guitar player, Bugs Henderson, and he's no slouch either. He's another guitar legend from Texas. So to have both those guys, NITZINGER and Bugs Henderson, on the second album, really kicks it up a notch. And I know there's NITZINGER's kind of noted because Louisiana Cockfight is kind of a AOR staple. A lot of bands have done covers of it, and so they're kind of known for that. And the first album, for some reason, it seems like a lot of reviewers say the first album's really strong and the second one's not. And I'm kind of the opposite. I think the first album's solid and the second one's even better. And I think one of the reasons why they didn't capture people's imagination as much, they kind of should have stuck to hard rock and blues. There's a couple of ballads on each of their albums, and they're good ballads. There's some great backup vocals. They're definitely evocative ballads, a little overwrought in some sense, but the hard rock stuff is great. And so when you get to the points where the arrangements get a little more complex and interesting, and they show off their chops as a band, including stellar guitar work, then you really get your money's worth. And there's a lot of that on the first album. I think John NITZINGER has kind of a Freddie King sort of tone to his guitar playing, and he's a killer player, so it really sounds great, and it really makes the band. And his vocals are adequate. They're not stellar, but they have their own flavor, and the more you listen to the NITZINGER records, the more you appreciate what he can do as a vocalist, and it gives them their distinct flavor. But the second album is the Motherlode. They definitely focus more on hard rock. There's some proto metal elements, killer two guitar work, and they focus more on that sort of material. I think both albums could have been a little stronger if they just stuck to the hard rock material and maybe stayed away from some of these overwrought ballads. But the stuff that's good is so good, it's definitely worth having. And it's notable that, of course, they've released singles off of both albums, Louisiana Cockfight off the first album and One Foot in History off the second album. And not necessarily radio material, though Louisiana Cockfight probably did all right in the charts. But there's also a live performance from Mary Saul where they do Jelly Roll Blues, Texas Jelly Roll Blues, and it's as good as white blues gets. John Nitzinger's guitar just sounds so great. He's just got a killer tone. He's a great player, and his voice even sounds better live. And of course, for me, one issue I have is all the sets by all the bands that played at Marysaw were recorded. So somewhere out there, they have a soundboard of the complete set Nitzinger did, and I would love to hear that. I would love to hear a complete set with all their original material because I'm sure live they were very professional, really had their shit together, and I'm sure the whole set of their original material would be stunning to hear live. I can't believe that after all these years, somebody's still sitting on it. But we know that from time and time again. There's a lot of sound guys out there and a lot of festivals that everything was recorded. And there's all these incredible bands that there's soundboard recordings sitting in some vault somewhere. And it's been enough years, 50 years and more. It's time to get this stuff out. And the Nitzinger set from Mary Saul would be a great example of that. But I recommend Nitzinger. Um, it's really solid. A lot of it's not totally blow away, but it's really solid and it's just great 70s rock done extremely well. And they check all the boxes. The singing is fine. The rhythm section's killer. The guitar work is absolutely killer. And particularly on the second album, sometimes the second album seems to get knocks, but I love the second album. I like it even more than the first album. Just incredible arrangements, a lot more complex. Bugs Henderson on second guitar. Um, Great two guitar work and just really stellar. Once again, I wish they'd kind of left off the ballads. In fact, hearing that live blues set song from Mary Saul makes me realize they could have taken the ballads off of both records and put a stunning blues number on each of those records, and they'd be even more classic. But the covers are really notable. Everybody kind of remembers the covers because they came out with the same cover for each record. This one, the first one in black embossed and with nice silver lettering, and then the second one is blue with the same cover. And pretty striking. Nice to have in anyone's collection. I love having both those records. They just look good, and the fact that they're just really, really solid 70s rock. It's too bad they didn't, like usual. We're really lucky we got 2 albums out of them. It would have been nice to have 3, frankly, but it's hard to say what direction they would have gone in. But I love both these records. I recommend them maybe 85%. The parts of it that are not quite great are a little disappointing, but overall they're pretty great at that classic 70s sound. And as I pointed out, the musicianship and the guitar playing is so great, and the material is definitely, when it's good, it's really good. So in that sense, I can recommend them wholeheartedly. But if you haven't heard them before, as always, I got the links below. Check them out. If you don't like one song, check out the others because there's a fair amount of variety within the 70s sound that they do. But I'm glad we have these 2 records, and over the years they remain in my collection and I still enjoy them. And so that says something. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.